Ladies and gentlemen, I have unfortunate news. I have fired Glen as the co-host of KFR News Podcast. Instead, I have Bianca. Bianca, say hello to everyone. Oh, yes. She wants me to tell you that the following podcast contains spoilers for Lars and the Real Girl. You have been warned. Oh, Bianca.
He is a liar, everybody. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glen Button. Not moving. I'm not moving, Bianca. Along with your host, Miguel Magusto.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing.
Oh, yeah.
It is getting hot. It's getting hot in this fucking room, up in this attic.
I don't like it. I don't like the heat.
I have to turn off the fan so we can record without any white noise in the background.
It's always the worst time is when you have to turn off the AC and the fan to record.
It feels disgusting. But how are you?
Well, I've been better. So today was Caitlin's first day back at work from maternity leave. So it was just me and the two boys. And if you can't tell by the way I look, they put me through the ringer.
You're a little disheveled today.
I am very disheveled. I didn't shave. I usually shave whenever we record, the neck part.
Yeah.
Probably not as often as I should, but... and yeah, I am just exhausted. So when you thought that I fell asleep before we recorded, you weren't far off. It's just...
You thought about it.
I thought about it, but I didn't. But yes. We it's been about a while since we last recorded. Glen, tell me about the movies you've seen. You've been watching a few movies.
I have watched a sparingly amount of few. Starting off with a little Guy Ritchie movie called The Gentleman. We had kind of briefly talked about after.
Can I just say, I thought you were when you said Guy Ritchie, my mind went immediately to Little Richard.
Oh, I
was just like, he made a movie?
He makes great movies.
He has been in movies, though.
Yeah, of course. We had briefly talked about me not watching this, and I was like, I never watched it. And then I did. It's actually really good. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm surprised. He makes great movies, but I don't know. There's like a random few lately that I've just didn't watch because they didn't seem that entertaining. Don't come at my throat, Guy Ritchie fans. I don't know. And then at some point I had finished a book called The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. Ooh. And I found that apparently there's movies. I think there was like a small mini series of it too. And so I was like, fuck, I want to be that book talk, oh my God. I want to be that book person that fucking complains about how bad the movie is in comparison to the book. Which I actually ended up doing accidentally. It
happens sometimes.
The movie was just, it was okay. There was really only like one person that I thought actually nailed the looks and persona of their character. Everybody was like 10 to 15 years older than what the character actually was supposed to be. And if they weren't actually that much older, the 50s weren't kind to people's faces back then. So they all just looked older than they were supposed to. So I don't know. I think it would be a pretty cool to kind of go back and remake this movie, but also at the same time, it's fine. It doesn't need to be at the same time. After that, we watched The Fall Guy, which there is a review out for all the YouTube-a-loo-doo-ba-loos. You can go check that out if you want to. Then I decided to get ready for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, so I've been watching the old Andy Serkis movies here. So I watched Rise 2 days ago. And then yesterday I watched Dawn. Today I was going to watch War, but I can save that for tomorrow to get ready for Kingdom, which should be pretty right on schedule. And then I found out that apparently there's like fucking 15 other movies. And I was like, whoa, from the original ones.
I own every single one that's ever been released. So
that just blew my mind. I thought there was like the original, then the Tim Burton one, and then these new ones. I had no idea there were so many other ones.
Yeah, it was a big thing in the 70s.
Kind of blew my mind, I will say. But other than that, that's kind of all I watched, which is a lot more than usual lately, but also not that many in the long scope of things. But Mike,
Yes.
tell me what you did, little baby boy.
Well, I watched 8 movies, which is down from my normal 14 for 2 weeks. I've been reading more, so I've been watching movies less. And also, I haven't been forcing myself to watch movies, which I do every now and then. I'm not going to go through all of them. First one I'm going to say is I rewatched The Mummy. It was re-released into theaters. Glen did not join me.
I did not. I'm a piece of shit.
His neck did not break. Love it. It's a masterpiece. It's one of the best movies ever made. One of the movies that actually got me into filmmaking, because it made me think I wanted to be an archaeologist, and then I realized I just wanted to be a filmmaper.
I just wanted to be Brendan Fraser.
And I failed at all 3 of those dreams. So The Mummy's great. Then I watched Beverly Hills Ninja for the first time with Chris Farley. Don't get it. Don't get the hype. It's not a good movie.
People just really like Chris Farley.
I like Chris Farley too. There are really funny parts, but overall the movie's not great. And it's not like this, I'm sure there's someone out there that thinks it's offensive for some reason just because it's a white guy, appropriating Chinese culture or Japanese culture. I think he's supposed to be Japanese, raised by Japanese people. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, I just found it kind of boring. It did have a lot of funny parts, but they were just like too few and far between.
Yeah.
So like when it was either really funny or just not funny at all, and then I just didn't care about the story because it was your typical 90s movie. Then I watched Some Like It Hot, which is a 1959 Maryland Street movie. Yeah, Marilyn Monroe. It's the one with the 2 jazz musicians who are running from the mob, so they dress like women and join a women's band. It's pretty funny. I really enjoyed it. Had to watch it over 3 days because my boys kept waking up when I was watching it, so I watched it over 3 days. Watched The Fall Guy. We have a review for that on the YouTube. Rewatched The Ritual, going back to books into movies. This is I love the movie The Ritual, but I really love the book The Ritual, so much so that I'm going to reread it this year at some point. And it's I watched the movie first, and usually when that happens, when I read the book, I'm just like, yeah, the book's fine, but like the movie's still really good. This one, I was just like, if they had stuck to the book, god damn, it would have been one of the best horror movies ever. So
the movie's really good too.
I still really like the movie. It's just it's not as complex as the book for obvious reasons, but it's still like terrifying and has really strong moments. I really enjoyed rewatching that. Then I watched The Contestant, which is a documentary about a Japanese game show in which
I started that yesterday.
It's fucking wild. I think it was the 90s, they had a guy just sign up for something, and they didn't tell him what it was, and then he had to live off of like coupons and prizes and magazines for. They made him do it until he hit 1 million yen. That took him like 333 days. God. And then they had him do it again to a lesser extent in Korea for like an additional 100 days or something like that. And it's just wild. It's a really incredible documentary.
Yeah, I started it yesterday and then realized how much I had to pay attention. And so I was like, I'll come right back to this.
Yeah, I do suggest it, but you got to be ready to read subtitles because it's about a Japanese guy. Then I watched Lars and the Real Girl, which we're going to get into right now.
Ooh. Where's your girlfriend?
I don't have one.
Are you gay?
No.
Give this to somebody nice.
Mr. Sunshine, that new girl's kind of cute, huh?
Something's going on with him. I'm worried.
Maybe he wants to be left alone.
That's not what he wants.
Hey, I have a visitor.
Where did you meet this person?
I met her on the internet.
Yeah, well, everybody's doing that now.
Bianca's a missionary.
My little brother is crazy, right? I mean, he's crazy.
If I may, he appears to have a delusion.
What the hell is he doing with a delusion?
She loves kids.
Fantastic. When will it be over?
When he doesn't need it anymore.
You're not gonna go to work today, Gus?
I don't feel good.
Well, Bianca could help you. You know, she has nurses training.
A delusional young man strikes up an unconventional relationship with a doll he finds on the internet. Directed by Craig Gillespie, written by Nancy Oliver, starring Ryan Gosling, Emily Mortimer, Paul Schneider, and Patricia Clarkson, along with others. Kelly Garner is probably one of the other ones that I should mention. This came up, of course, on my big list of movies. Glenn picked the number that coincided with this through
That I did.
overcomplicated math that I don't need to do, but I still do it anyway, so he doesn't just pick the middle ones. And yeah, I first saw this probably shortly after it came out. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it on DVD. And, you know, it's a ridiculous concept. Guy starts a relationship because he has a delusion with a sex doll.
Yeah.
And the town just goes with it, which is really kind of charming. So it's a rare movie in which every single person in it is a genuinely good person. The worst person is just an obnoxious coworker who watches porn at work, which is, you know, not the best thing, but it doesn't make him a bad person.
Maybe a little frowned upon.
Yeah, it should. If you're going to want to quote, I think you should leave. We should be able to watch a little porn at work.
Meanwhile, has a hot dog up his sleeve.
Just the tiredest I've ever been. Anyway, but yeah, I was just really surprised by this movie. It's genuinely funny without it shows like the quirkiness of his character without making fun of him, which, you know, it would be so easy to go like, I could see like, you know, I don't know why he comes to mind, but like Johnny Knoxville being in this movie, and it just kind of makes fun of him as a person. And the reason I think of that is I think the movie The Ringer, which is not necessarily making fun of people mental challenges.
Mentally challenged people.
Yeah, mentally challenged people. But it is not as graceful as this movie is in that sense. So yeah, it's one of the movies that like I first started really liking Ryan Gosling. The first experience I have with Ryan Gosling was The Notebook. I was coerced into seeing it against my will. I could tell that story if you want me to, but long story short, I wanted to see Spider-Man 2, but was told I was seeing The Notebook, and saw The Notebook, and I hated The Notebook, and so I hated Ryan Gosling for a bit until this, and now I really like him. He's a funny guy and a great actor.
I think The Notebook was also my first introduction to him. I mean, a lot of people just remember The Titans. That movie was only on during like middle school classes, so I went to sleep
probably saw him
instead.
in that, but didn't register him until The Notebook. And honestly, Notebook is probably a good movie, but when you want to see Spider-Man 2 and you're 13 or 14 years old and a girl you really like says, hey, let's go see Spider-Man 2, and then when you're about to buy the ticket say, no, let's go see The Notebook.
How dare you, woman? How dare you?
Dare you? I could have seen Dr. Octavius, played by Alfred Molina.
Aunt May almost got that toaster, damn it.
She almost got that toaster, but I don't get that reference. But
she went to the bank and there was like a news clipping for a free toaster.
Yes, I remember now. But yeah, so this was really the first movie that I started really liking Ryan Gosling. He brings such a charm to this character that it never feels creepy that he's dating a sex doll. It feels very innocent, and you know, obviously he needs help, but it never feels like, you know, like a lot of people speculate, it never feels like he's having sex with the doll.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, people in town talked about it, like, you know, does he do it? And then everybody's like, no. And then his brother's kind of like walking into rooms sometimes and just alone with it. And he's like, oh, sorry, didn't, ew. But nothing ever happens, obviously. And read that they even got a doll that didn't have any genitals, just so there were no assumptions of that. So that was a way to get that extra step in.
Well, they probably did that just to make sure no one in the props department, or no one broke into the props department.
Don't fuck around with this thing. Literally, damn it. I had watched this back in like 20, I think 12 or 11.
So before I would have made you watch it.
Yeah, it was on Netflix, and it was like one of the first movies that I remember actually watching on the app on Netflix. I don't necessarily remember finishing it, but I always wanted to come back to it just in case I didn't actually finish it. But now that we watched it, I think I did finish it. But it had been what is it now, 13 years since then, so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have remembered how it ended regardless, even so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, it has a weird point where in the beginning where it feels like it could be going one way, and then it absolutely kind of turns and goes like an actually great and endearing movie, because it feels like it's ramping up to be like, oh, we're kind of judging this guy for having a sex doll, and then it keeps getting more heartwarming, more and more when more people are involved with it and just trying to help him out.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good because it could have went that way and just been very like distasteful.
Yeah, it could have just been the whole town making fun of him for an hour and a half.
Yeah, like could have been like forcing him to get better, or just instead everybody's working with him to try to help through this process of his trauma, his delusion. And I thought that's really awesome. Like every character was just there for him. I mean, everybody's always talking about how he's a good boy. He's a good boy. He wouldn't harm a fly. He barely even yells. Like everybody has the best intentions.
Yeah,
and
it made me nostalgic for a time when cars looked like shit and people were nice.
yeah,
because now cars look great and people are dicks.
Yeah. I feel like a huge thing too is like you didn't see anybody on their phones. So like everybody, it was all community.
It was really before smartphones were a big thing. At least I don't know if they were around
like
at all.
He says there's cell phones in the mall that we're at, but like everybody has computers that are like fucking mid 90s to 2000s.
Yeah, the
so
big box screens.
Yeah, so like it definitely takes place in a time where they didn't have that technology. I mean, yeah, they called people, but I mean, they didn't like text everybody or social media. It's pre-social media is basically what this was. You didn't see anybody on that goddamn MySpace.
Such a good time pre-social media.
It was like the best thing about this movie, I think for sure, is the wholesome community that just tried to help Lars with everything.
Yeah, and like to the point where the person who helps him the least. At first, it changes over time, obviously, but his brother has probably the most normal reaction to it.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of like disgusted by it a little bit. Maybe not disgusted is the right word, but he's embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
And but even he kind of does the bare minimum to try to make his brother feel welcome and not judged. And it really, in the end, kind of helps him move past it much faster than if they all fought it. And even when he tries to bring it up, he in the very beginning he's just like, oh, she's not real, she's just plastic. And then he notices that Lars just kind of ignores that.
Yeah, he's selective hearing that, and he was
and pretends Bianca says something to make him not hear it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I don't know. I feel like I understand why movies have conflict in them, and this has conflict, but not like interpersonal conflict.
It's like an inner turmoil.
Yeah. It's not interpersonal conflict like between multiple people, but like this kind of movie really makes me miss movies like that, where everyone's just kind of nice to each other, and the conflict is not between people, but like just all of them kind of coming together to get over something, which in this case has helped their friend and neighbor Lars get over his delusion of this relationship. And it's just, I don't know.
Just reminded me of their brother's line when he's like, what is he doing with an illusion? Or a delusion?
What's he doing with a delusion? Yeah. It just says a lot for the writer Nancy Oliver and director Craig Gillespie, that they were able to maintain that through line of, you know, community without losing it and making, I don't want to say a more interesting movie because this movie's very interesting, but like a more widely accepted movie where I could see a lot of people think this is boring.
Yeah.
But it's I just found myself smiling and kind of giggling at how nice everyone was.
Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, maybe people just get too tired too quickly of how wholesome things are. Maybe like
I think a lot of people
negativity right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that, but I mean, I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them for like sitting down and picking a movie, and it's probably this one, and then being like, not what I expected, and then turns it off.
Yeah. So you mean not one person is fighting him on this? If they are, they're not in the movie.
They're not even sexing the sex doll. Anyway.
They keep talking about it, but they're not doing it.
She's not a talk doll. She's... Oh, God. I don't know. Yeah. I am very curious because I saw today when you posted the photos on Instagram. I'm very curious on what Stephen, Mish, and Mark's opinions are on this movie because they tagged themselves on one of the photos.
Well, they should have let us know so we could talk about their opinions, but, you know, they're a little too slow for that. So.
How dare you guys? Now you get to listen to this in 2 weeks, you dickheads. Yeah. Oh, actually, I could probably look it up. I think I have them on Letterboxd.
Yeah, you could check that. But the only thing that I kind of wish they delved into more, and a lot of it's subtext, so they already kind of talk about it, but I kind of would have liked at least one scene acknowledging why he was the way he was. You know, you see through his sessions with Patricia Clarkson that he kind of hates being touched.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to explore his past that made him that way. They explain why he's kind of, the delusion is kind of created as a way to cope with his sister-in-law being pregnant after his mother died in childbirth. But that doesn't necessarily explain why he doesn't like being touched. So I personally would have liked just a quick, or did they? Did I miss it?
They kind of touched on it. They Gus and Lars talked about, I mean, there's multiple scenes where they talk about their dad, but not them both together, but where basically after the mom died, Lars was kind of just not necessarily, they never say he was beat or anything like that. But
neglected, probably.
He was definitely neglected, and then once Gus left, basically Lars was kind of shunned away to the garage and lived there. I don't know how old they were at this time. I assume 18 is when Gus was, but I don't know the difference in age between Gus and Lars, so I don't know how old.
Yeah, they really only say that
so
Lars is 27.
He was probably only like 13 living in the garage now.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's like they never said he got hit as a kid or anything, but one could assume that's probably why. Yeah,
and I remember them talking about that, but and maybe I was just tired when I watched it, but I feel like that still was kind of missing that conversation, or at least they didn't dive into it enough for my liking. But that's really me like grasping at straws for something negative to say. Cause
I mean,
otherwise,
if they were gonna do it, it would have to be a conversation either between Lars and Gus or Lars and the doctor.
Yeah.
But it would make. So I feel like it would make more sense with Gus.
Yeah.
But
so I can see why they didn't do it. But like this movie is so economical in its storytelling. Like from the very first church scene where Mrs. Gunner, I think her name is, gives Lars the flower to give to a girl, and then Margot says hi, and he throws the flower.
Chucks that motherfucker.
That scene perfectly sums up the person that he is, and it's done so quickly. And you know, they also, the sound effects in this are on point. Like the sound effects in this make certain scenes funnier. Like the scene where Gus goes on to the sex doll website and is kind of going through things. Yeah. There's chair creaking sounds that make it so much funnier than if the chair creaking was not in there. And after Star Wars, one thing I forgot to mention in Star Wars is that the sound effects are awful. Like the footstep sound effects are hard. I'm not talking about like the lightsaber and main ones, but like there's, especially in Phantom Menace, there are footstep sound effects that sound like people moving shoes on a thing in a studio, like you do with Foley.
Yep.
And it's to have subtle sound effects in this that feel like they're part of the scene and not something thrown in afterwards was just so refreshing, and it made it funnier. It made the scene where he was watching videos about other sex dolls. It made it funnier, and you know, that's some master crafting from Craig Gillespie and his team of Foley artists with that.
That is very, very true.
Yes.
Ryan Gosling in this was just so good. I know you talked about how he was just genuine good acting all around as far as his character went, and just little moments where I guess apparently he did a couple improv scenes. Like, he's just so good. Even his singing when he's L is for I can't do too much. We'll get copyright stricken. But he's all around just such a good actor, and obviously it's why he's skyrocketed to where he is now. But it's always fun to see like roles like this where it was smaller, and he still just shines so crazy.
Yeah. When he was he did a lot of movies similar to this in the early 2000s, and still does from time to time, but not nearly as much as he did because he's got a family to look after now. You know, pretty much after he was a Disney kid growing up, like he grew up in the Disney system, and so after Remember the Titans, it looked like he was trying to break away from that. In the early 2000s, he's in a movie about a neo-Nazi called The Believer. Let's see, The United States of Leland, which I've seen but don't remember, so I need to rewatch that. And then a movie called Half Nelson, which I believe he's a teacher in that. But like, there are all these. Yeah, he's a teacher with a drug habit. So he took on all these like really small roles that made him one of the most interesting actors, in my opinion, that led to Drive and other.
I think I watched Half Nelson.
Other movies with Nicholas Winding Refn. Oh my God, I can't talk. Winding Refn. And you know, he's become.
I forgot Fracture.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him because he's such a good-looking guy that people. I know people. My college roommate doesn't like him because he thinks Ryan Gosling thinks he's better than people, but I think Ryan Gosling is just better than people.
There's straight up. I don't know many people that hate Ryan Gosling. That's crazy.
My college roommate, he says he seems smug, but I think that's just his face.
Yeah.
But like he's legitimately, and I think that's because not only is he good looking, but he's also extremely talented and funny.
Yeah.
And so it's the trifecta. And he can sing, he can dance. He's a triple threat. And I think that makes certain people dislike him or, you know, project smugness onto him, which I'm not trying to change my college roommate's mind about that. Because I told him to watch this movie when he told me that. And he said that he liked this movie, but he still had the same thoughts about him. So
that's crazy because even most of his other works too are just so good. Like, I mean, I think
it's not his fault. He's a gorgeous man.
Yeah, I think what skyrocketed, other than The Notebook, I think what really got him going was Drive. But I mean, there's roles like The Nice Guys, and then ever since The Nice Guys, there's just
Place
roles,
Beyond the Pines is fantastic.
Yeah, where he's just killing it, and especially lately, especially during the Barbie campaign, is where you really show, he really shows how much of a nice dude he is. I mean, but then again, I don't know the fucking guy, so it doesn't really matter to me.
He might be an asshole. He might be smug. Who knows?
I think he's a cool dude, and I think he's actually really nice in person. But I've never met him to be able to, say so.
Yeah, I just think it's unfair that because he is a triple threat and he's attractive, that some people, not naming my college roommate, he knows who he is. Some people dislike him just because of that, and that's why I feel bad for him. If that wasn't clear.
2007, Ryan Gosling dated a life-size doll so that 2049 Ryan Gosling could date a giant hologram.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, I guess, huh? Damn.
And it's like even the big movies he's been picking, he picks interesting characters. Like as stupid as the idea of Ken and Barbie is, he is, I hate to say it, half the heart of that movie.
Yeah.
Obviously Barbie's the other half, but like without Ken there is no Barbie movie because he is the antagonist in a way. The patriarch is really antagonist in that, but he's he is just so he's just funny. He makes every movie he's in better by being
And like
himself in a way.
Specifically, Place Beyond the Pines. I hated that movie. I'll be honest, but he was so good in that. Okay. So the first half of the movie where he's in it, loved the movie. After that,
Fair.
I fucking hated that movie.
Fair. It is two movies in one.
Yeah.
And the first half is stronger than the second half. So I understand that. While I disagree, I do understand that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't remember what I gave it. I haven't watched it in so long. But
Yeah.
first half, really good. And then the second half just made me... I was like, well, now what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be here.
That does suck though when you're watching a movie and halfway through it changes to something completely different and it's less interesting.
Yeah.
As much as I love Psycho, the first half of Psycho is way more interesting than the second half of Psycho. And as a whole, it's a phenomenal film, but the first half is way more interesting than the second half.
It's true.
But you also don't have the iconic killing of the main actress.
Yeah.
Without the way it goes. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited from how his career has gone to where it's still going. I hope he's going and going and going and going. He keeps getting shit. Because
I
people,
hope he gets his Oscar one day.
that'd be fucking nice. That would be really nice.
Yeah. Because he was nominated for Barbie, of course, and then
Yeah.
La La Land and Half Nelson. Highly suggest Half Nelson for people who haven't seen
My
that.
favorite part is like was it the Oscar nomination for I'm Just Ken? And he's like, are you guys fucking serious? Because I think
Because Margot Robbie wasn't nominated.
yeah,
That was the whole
It was
thing.
Billie Eilish's song too. Shit, I think I don't remember if that was nominated or not, but he looked up. He's like, why the fuck are you nominating my song?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's goofy, but
It's a
you
good
know
song.
what?
I like it.
Whatever. Oh god. A little bit hard of a movie to talk about, to be honest, because like other than the wholesome community and stuff like that, and just Ryan Goose Baby just being great.
Ryan Goose, baby.
The more you kind of talk about what's going on, the more.
Do you think anyone else calls him Ryan Gosling or Ryan Goose Baby?
His name, yeah, probably.
Because that's what Gosling is.
I feel
Gosling
like-
is a goose
I
baby.
feel like there's people out there. There's got to
Yeah.
be people out there.
But yeah, it's
All I know is just the royal message of this movie is when your life's in the dumps or you're just feeling bad about yourself, buy a sex doll. It'll change your life
yes.
in ways that you might not
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. But yeah, it is really just an hour, 45 minutes of pure wholesomeness. Heartbreaking ending, you know,
Yeah.
but also, you know, it's something that needs to happen. So it's like heartbreaking, but you get like, it needed to happen. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful message overall. This movie made me really miss Paul Schneider, who hasn't been in much lately, but in 2007, he was in this and The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford. So, and he was also in the first season of Parks and Recreation. But yeah, he's a good actor that I kind of wish was in more
I forgot he was in
big
that.
stuff. In what?
The first season of Parks and Rec.
Yeah, he was replaced with someone else who I can't recall.
I can't remember if it was Chris Pratt. Probably not. Anyway,
No, I think he was replaced with Ben Schwartz. Is that the character's name or the actor's name?
Ben Schwartz is the actor's name.
Yeah, Ben Schwartz.
His name is Ralphie. Oh, what the fuck was his name? Oh God.
Oh no, am I thinking of something else?
Jean Ralphio or some shit. God, I'm
I
gonna
think
punch myself in the
Either
ass.
we're either thinking of the wrong character or I'm thinking
we're
of the
just
wrong
naming
actor.
characters, I think.
Yeah. Where is he? Adam Scott, Ben Wyatt.
John
is who I was thinking.
Ralphio. That's what it was.
I think that guy's name is Ben Schwartz. Isn't it?
That's what I was.
Okay, so that's because Adam Scott's character's name is Ben Wyatt, so that's why I got confused. But yeah, I like Paul Schneider, Assassination of Jesse James. Still got to rewatch it, but Lars and the Real Girl, fantastic film. I don't really have anything else to say.
I will say one last thing. God damn it.
Yes.
Emily Mortimer's voice when she's kind of like when her and Lars kind of have that fight about like nobody cares about him. Her voice was like doing things to my brain, like it was like scratching like an itch that I never knew I had. It's kind of like Jennifer Tilly's voice, kind of too, and just like where it kind of like breaks off mid sentence and just kind of not like
raspy.
Yeah, it's like that raspy. I was like, am I attracted to this? And I was like, what is happening? Weird waking moment for Glenn there. It's, no need to judge. Remember, this is a wholesome movie. Don't be judging.
But yeah, no, Emily Mortimer's great in this too. She's kind of like the heart and soul in it. She's the one that kind of pushes the community to help out and everything. It's just a beautiful story overall.
Absolutely.
But that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I've got the ratings here of what that little group of people decided to put on this. So we got Steven with a 3. Steven. That's for you, Steven. I got the double birds going. Bam, bam. Ooh. I feel like the wind caressing my back just now.
But that is your opinion and your.
And then Mark and Mish both at a 5. So good on them. What happened there, Steven?
Steven, get fucked, Steven.
Succumb to peer pressure, you bitch.
Like the things we like, god damn it. No, it's I get it. I get
that's pretty funny.
It's not the kind of movie that everyone likes, and that's okay. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Me too.
Yeah, so that does it for a review of Lars and the Real Girl. That brings us to the Judgment. It was my pick, so I get to go first. I hated this movie. It's god awful.
I could feel the hate screaming through your microphone right now.
Feel the hate. No, I love it. It's a great movie. It's one of those movies that I wish I was watching for the first time every time I watch it, because the emotional punch that it has at the end is just not the same when you know what's going to happen. But that's because it's a great movie that, I wish that I hadn't seen it each time I watch it. So I definitely think it goes on the shelf.
I would 100% agree with you. It is a solid movie and makes me very wholesome inside.
Just the wholesomest?
Just the wholesomest. And remember, if you're feeling down in the dumps, buy a sex doll. I don't care how much they cost now. The community will accept you.
Yes.
But yes, 100% goes on the shelf for me too.
Yeah, so Lars and the Real Girl goes on the KFR shelf with the legs of a Paso and Handmaid, and that brings us to the next episode's film. It is Glenn's turn to pick. So Glenn, what are we watching?
Oh man, I'm a little bit disappointed this week. Last week I found a movie that was like on the television, like the actual like television. I don't know if people watch that still to this day. But every time I turn on my light switch, it turns on the TV and then shows. I have like a channel for classic movies. So I had one set up. I won't tell you what it is just in case it comes back to something because I would love to watch it. I was watching it for like 15 to 20 minutes, dying laughing. I thought it was fucking
know what
hilarious.
it is.
Maybe I'll tell you. Maybe.
Okay, tell me off the recording.
Not the pick because it's only available to rent. I don't feel like fucking spending money. So sadly for Mike, because I know he saw this already, I did too, but I've been waiting for it to come on a streaming platform for I can't even tell you how long, so I could rewatch it. We're going to go with a little Leo DiCap movie from 2000 called The Beach.
He was looking for something new, a way to change his life.
Hey, you want to go? You need somewhere to stay?
No thanks.
You afraid of something new?
I guess there's this urban myth going around here at the moment. It's about a beach.
A secret beach. On an island that no one can get to.
Somewhere, paradise must exist.
I just feel like everyone tries to do something different, but they always wind up doing the same damn thing.
1 kilometer.
2.
Pretty true.
I don't know. I'm thinking miles, not kilometers. I'm American. So let's go.
On hidden island.
We have so much here to inspire.
No one ever escaped.
I saw them kill 4 people with my own eyes.
Go home. Forget this island.
This is our home too. Oh, we're not going back.
May God take your soul.
I will not die today!
Oh, Danny Boyle.
Yeah, this is only streaming on Hulu, and there's a bunch of rents, but that's up to you people. Just get Hulu for a minute. The beach. On vacation in Thailand, Richard sets out for an island rumored to be a solitary beach paradise. Directed by Danny Boyle, written by John Hodge and Alex Garland. Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah, you
shit,
didn't know
I
that?
didn't know that.
He also did 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
He was a writer before he directed things. Yeah, he's great.
That guy's a fucking madman. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Tilda Swinton, Daniel York. That's a long-ass name.
Pacharawan.
Patarakajan.
Sorry to that person for...
Is that what the hell's her name? Virginie?
Virginie.
Yeah. Letoyan. We're just gonna... it looks like Guillermo, but it's a Guillermo. That's what it is.
I think it's the French version of Guillermo.
Guillermo.
Just go to the next one. You can pronounce that.
Can I? Robert Carlyle. I almost said Carfax for some reason. Anyway, it's going to be the beach. It's going to be Leo DiCap on a beach with Tilda Swinton.
Carfax.
Get the Carfax. The Danny Carfax. His name's not even Danny. It's Daffy. What the fuck, Glenn? Anyway, that's going to be my movie. Haven't watched it in a long time. I wanted to give it a little rewatch. So, bada bing.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited to rewatch this too because I remember avoiding it because it looks like... I
remember
when I got over Titanic, I was over Leonardo for a while.
I think I remember us talking about the movie posters too, and like this being one of them.
Poster.
It's a bad poster.
It's a horrible poster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to rewatch it because when I did watch it, I thought things that we'll talk about next week. But yeah, so The Beach is our assignment for next episode. That's going to be on Hulu, and you can rent it as well whatever you want to do. But thank you everyone for listening and watching. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com, on Instagram we're Keystone_film_review, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Keystone Film Review, and on Letterboxd I'm Mike KFR.
And I'm Glen KFR.
And that will do it until next week next episode when we get shirtless and suntanned with Leo.
I did that today, minus the Leo.
Oh, I only care about if Leo's there. Goodbye, everybody.
This is why I'm being replaced with a sex doll.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.